When I Fall by Scarlet Emerald 32. Chapter 34.
All right, then. With Ollie's altogether devastating defeat by the necromancer, I think it is an appropriate time to end our session for the night.
Eugene looked around at the group.
We will resume the campaign next month, same time, same place. And I want to once again thank our newest member for her numerous contributions to the guild this evening.
Talisa raised her hand in acknowledgement and smirked as the others gave her an appreciative whoop.
Yeah, your character's pretty badass, and it's fun having a girl join in, even if you do flirt with the DM to get perks.
Hey now, my flirting didn't earn me any sort of perks.
So you admit you were flirting?
Well, considering she asked point blank if her charm advantage would be effective on the DM, that's kind of hard to refute.
Yes, but if you'll remember, he told me it would not. Hence my statement that flirting got me no advantages.
Okay, but it stands to reason that anyone who slept with the dungeon master probably gets better plot points.
I mean, in life maybe, but not necessarily in the campaign.
And either way, your entire premise in this instance is flawed, based on limited knowledge of the nature of our previous relationship.
Whoa, hang on.
Luke held up a hand and looked at Eugene in surprise.
Are you saying you were dating her for months and you didn't hit that?
Charming, Luke.
Talisa answered dryly, and Jerry chuckled.
It's not like life was exactly stress-free and uncomplicated at the time.
Even more reason.
Luke insisted, oblivious to Eugene's obvious embarrassment at the topic.
It all makes sense now. This is your issue. You guys have some serious sexual tension you need to take care of.
Oh yeah? Just as easy as that? You guys want to step outside the tent for a couple minutes so we can get that knocked out?
Oh my god. Both of you stop. If Eugene gets any redder, we're gonna have to take him to the med tent.
Talisa looked over and saw that Eugene was in fact beet red. She shot him an apologetic smile.
Sorry, haircut. You know we're just messing around.
I do indeed, and it's fine, I assure you.
He gathered his notes and organized them in his bag.
Well, I'd better be heading out. Gotta get an early start back to the kingdom in the morning.
I'd be happy to walk you back to your tent.
It's not that far. You don't need to.
He knows.
He knows.
Talisa shot the three of them a wry smile and rolled her eyes before opening the tent flap and stepping outside with Eugene right behind her. The encampment had been set up a few weeks earlier. All four communities, Alexandria, Hilltop, the Sanctuary, and Oceanside, had come together to rebuild the broken bridge. It had become a beacon of sorts, to symbolize their growing sense of community. The bridge created more direct trade routes, which in turn made the communities that much more interconnected. Talisa pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders as they walked. It was beginning to get colder at night again.
Sorry again about that whole thing with Luke. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just can't help giving it back to him when he gets going like that.
No apology necessary. You, for the most part, were not the instigator of the salacious content, though your assertion that the others should give us a few minutes alone to knock one out, as you put it, was a mite eyebrow-raising to be sure.
Talisa laughed.
Not romantic enough for your taste?
He merely chuckled and shook his head as they continued walking.
So how are the herds? Still moving on track?
Horatio's gonna be cutting it close, but as of now, Rosita thinks it'll pass us. Margaret is still a ways off, and Cindy and Rosita have laid the explosives to make sure T-Bolt and Cordelia don't run the risk of merging.
If they merged, would that be Corbolt or Tibelia?
Eugene chuckled again.
I have to say, neither moniker has much of a ring to it, so we'd just as soon keep them separate.
Cordelia? Tybalt? Horatio? I knew from my letter you liked Shakespeare's poetry, but I never realized what an all-around aficionado you are.
Well, classics are most often classic for a reason. And I've found the Bard does seem to have stories that are applicable to many of the facets of the human experience.
He sure does.
At the far edge of the camp, Talisa could see two people sitting at the outer guard station cuddled closely together. In the quiet, she heard their soft conversation and laughter floating towards them.
Who's that out there getting snuggly on guard duty?
I believe Gabriel was scheduled for the late shift this evening, so my guess would be him and Anne.
Anne and Gabriel? Since when are they a thing?
It had taken Talisa 2 or 3 visits back to Alexandria to learn that Jadis's real name was Anne. She'd switched back to it when she'd joined the community, and with the exception of being slightly quirky, Talisa had thought she was fitting in very well. She hadn't seen this twist coming at all, though.
As far as I'm aware, they've been headed in the direction of romantic entanglement for at least a few weeks. Though I'm not entirely certain they've made it official, as it were.
But,
Talisa looked from them back to Eugene and lowered her voice.
he's a priest? Is he allowed to do that?
That would traditionally depend on what denomination he was ordained within. In the Catholic religious establishment, romantic partners are a no-go for the clergy, but in other denominations, such as the Episcopalians and Anglicans, marriage is entirely acceptable. Though I might point out that the rules of our previous society haven't seemed to hold much relevance in our current sociologic structure.
You make a very good point.
They were walking on the path along the edge of the river now, and she looked down at the slowly moving water.
I see that levee you put in last weekend is still holding.
For the moment. Though the uptick in runoff this time of year is going to cause structural issues sooner rather than later, it is by no means a permanent solution. I plan on discussing it with Rick in the AM, but I think we may need to double our efforts on the support beams.
How long do you think we'll have?
At the current rate, I'd estimate 7 to 10 days.
Wow. So you're saying this whole project needs to be done within the next week and a half?
The majority of it, yes. It'll take a fair bit of blood, sweat, and tears, I imagine, but I think if we shake off the dust and put our backs into it, we can get it done.
They had reached the tent she'd been sharing with Enid. Talisa turned back to him with a shy smile.
You know, if you finish this job in a week, I'm not going to have an excuse to come out here every weekend.
I suppose I'll have to find some alternately compelling reason to make frequent voyages to the kingdom, then.
She smiled.
I suppose you will.
You're heading back first thing in the morning?
Yep. I have classes to teach Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Alexandria on Thursday for my monthly Negan conference. Then back here Friday. I'm traveling so much I might as well just keep a suitcase in each place.
Well, if you wanted to skip coming here for a weekend in the interest of getting some much-needed solo time in your own casa, I assure you I would be all right with it.
Well, I wouldn't.
She looked up into his face, and he held her gaze intently as they stood there inches apart. After another long moment, she tore her eyes from his, somewhat reluctantly, and leaned in to hug him.
Sleep well, haircut.
You as well.
Talisa let him go, and he tipped his wide-brimmed hat, a new addition to his wardrobe, that she secretly thought was very welcome, and turned to walk back down the path. She walked the last few steps to the tent and pulled back the flap to find both Enid and Sadiq inside. Sadiq was holding a thick medical book that was flipped open to the center, and Enid was sitting on the other side of the small table from him, leaning on her elbows.
Little late for a cram session, isn't it?
She walked over to her bed and sat down, pulling off her boots.
This one is a task driver. She's going to know more than me by the end of the week.
As if. I just want to be prepared for when you eventually leave me to fend for myself.
Sadiq chuckled and shook his head, turning to where Talisa was now taking her hair out of its braid and brushing through it.
So was that Eugene I heard outside?
Yes.
You two having a little cram session of your own?
Talisa's jaw dropped as she looked over at him.
Sadiq Bashar, there is a child present.
Hey, I'm almost 18. Not that I want to hear that stuff. But still, and anyway, I happen to know it totally wasn't like that tonight. They were playing their Dragon Dorks game with Jerry and a couple of the guys from the Sanctuary.
It's called Dungeons and Dragons.
Whatever.
For real? You play that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I've been into it for years. I've got the dice tattooed on my arm, see?
She held it up to show him.
It's one of the first things Eugene noticed about me, actually. I like D&D, sci-fi, video games. This tattoo right here?
She showed him the one on the opposite wrist.
Is the Triforce from Legend of Zelda and this?
She pulled up her sleeve so he could see her right shoulder.
Is the Starfleet insignia?
Like from Star Trek?
You bet your ass.
What's Star Trek?
A show about space for uber nerds.
Sadiq smirked as he looked back at Talisa.
I think I might need to rescind my proposal to you.
Oh no, you don't. You're stuck with me now.
You guys are so weird.
The next morning, Talisa walked through the camp and saw Carol standing outside her tent, watching the hustle and bustle of people around her.
Ezekiel and Henry head out already?
Yep, about 20 minutes ago.
Carol shot her a look.
I thought you were going with them.
I had a couple more things to get packed up, so I'm gonna head out soon. I should catch up with them by the time they reach the crossroads. Besides, I didn't want to go without...
Saying goodbye to Eugene?
Talisa glared at her, though in the end she didn't see much point in denying it.
Have you seen him?
He and Rick walked off towards the river about 20 minutes ago, talking about the levees and the work schedules.
Gotcha. Guess I'll head down that way.
She was about to turn towards the river when they heard a commotion coming from the direction of the bridge. She and Carol ran towards the noise and got to the bridge at the same time as Rick and Eugene, who were coming up from the riverbank. On the bridge, Daryl and one of the saviors were in an all-out brawl. Rick jumped in between them, shoving Daryl back.
All right, enough.
When the savior tried to get in another punch around him, he pushed him hard in the chest.
I said enough.
Daryl spit a mouthful of blood on the ground, still glaring daggers at the other man. Rick looked from him to the wary savior standing behind on the other side.
Get back to work.
He grabbed Daryl, pulling him off the bridge towards his tent. Talisa walked over to where Eugene was standing at the edge of the bridge, still watching the saviors as they slowly got back to work.
Any idea what that was all about?
As I told you last month when you made your visit to the sanctuary, the combination of dwindling food stores and increased demand for their physical labor has tensions within the ranks at an all-time high.
Do you foresee it becoming a problem we're going to have to address?
I wish I could say no, but the most I can offer at the moment is a TBD. My current priority is simply keeping them on task until we finish our objective.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was actually on my way to find you before the fight broke out. I'm headed back to the kingdom, but I wanted to say goodbye first.
Well, consider your sayonara accepted and appreciated. Travel safely, and I will see you back here on Friday.
Yes, you will.
She grabbed his hand and gave it a quick squeeze before walking away. She headed towards the paddock where the horse she would be taking back to the kingdom was tied up. As she did, she heard raised voices coming from Rick's tent. She altered her path and walked to the tent, opening the flap on Carol, Rick, and Daryl.
Hey, is everything good?
She looked around at the three of them, none of them meeting each other's eye.
It's fine. According to Rick, anyway.
Rick sighed and shook his head.
Daryl, that's not what I said. It's just, with the way things are right now, it's more important than ever to keep the peace where we can.
So that asshole just gets a pass? Is that it?
It's just a few more days.
Daryl made a disgusted noise and began to pace.
I don't like it either, but we're in a rush to get that work done. He's strong. The saviors are over half the workforce, and we've had too many walk-off already.
Yeah, 'cause that's who they are. Some of them ain't ever gonna fall in line just 'cause you say so.
Daryl's right. These people have never had to live together, and we can't expect them to just forget what's happened.
No one is asking them to forget. We just need them to try to move forward.
I know it hasn't been easy, and it won't be for a while. But Talisa's right, it's not about forgetting. It's about moving forward, all of us together. We keep doing that, they'll see we're all on the same side.
Are we, though?
Daryl gave Rick a pointed look. Rick met his gaze with a sad, frustrated expression and shook his head.
You tell me, Daryl.
The thing is, man, I've been trying to, but you don't want to hear it.
Well, we're listening now, Daryl. Tell us what you're thinking.
Daryl looked at her for a few seconds and seemed almost like he was about to speak, but then she saw the hard, closed-off look come across his face and he sighed heavily.
Man, it don't matter anyway.
He marched out of this tent without a backwards glance, and Carol and Talisa turned to look at Rick, who was looking down at his feet as he sighed heavily.
It's complicated. It's been different since Gregory, maybe even before that.
You should talk to him.
And say what?
Hang on a second, back up. What the hell happened with Gregory?
Maggie executed him. He was plotting behind her back to try and get her overthrown. Then he tried to assassinate her and take Hilltop back. He left her no choice.
Holy shit. I am officially behind the times. Any other huge developments I need to be aware of?
No, pretty sure you're caught up now.
Carol turned back to him with a sympathetic smile.
Rick, I get what you're trying to do here, and it's the right thing. It is. But maybe some of them just aren't ready for it.
By the time Talisa got back to the kingdom, it was dusk. She took her horse to the stable and then headed towards her apartment. Even though her stomach was grumbling, she had no interest in heading to the mess hall and waiting in line. When she got to her apartment, she dropped her backpack next to the door and headed for the kitchen. She made herself a peanut butter sandwich and poured a glass of milk, and then brought both over to her bed. She sat the milk on her nightstand and then flopped heavily onto the bed, savoring the sandwich. When she was done, she took a long drink of the cold milk and then sighed happily. She kicked off her boots and pulled her feet onto the bed, stretching out on her back. After another minute of relaxing, she reached over and grabbed the walkie-talkie sitting next to her bed, turning it to channel 5 and clicking the button.
This is Possum calling Taterbug. Taterbug, come in.
She laid back and waited for a few seconds before the walkie crackled back to life and Eugene's voice came over it.
This is Taterbug. Glad to hear you arrived home safely, Possum. Sorry for my delayed response. I've been running damage control essentially since your departure this afternoon.
Oh boy, that doesn't sound good. What's going on?
A veritable cluster of things. Firstly, several additional saviors walked off the line today, and one of said defectors is missing. Compounding that, we got word that the saviors that jumped ship yesterday did not in fact make it back to the sanctuary. So their remaining compatriots were understandably distressed and proceeded to abandon their posts to search for them.
Oh geez, when you say a cluster, you're not kidding.
That's not even the end of the story. Justin, the savior involved in the altercation earlier, was supposed to be manning one of the stations in our Horatio deflection operation, but due to his neglecting of his walkie, his load was not detonated, and Horatio instead headed directly towards our secondary construction site.
Oh my god, is everyone okay?
Thankfully, there were no casualties due to Daryl's quick action. But Aaron was injured significantly. His arm was crushed under a log and Enid was forced to amputate it.
Enid amputated his arm on her own?
She did, and I believe both you and Sadiq would have been proud of her. She did an exemplary job and was composed and calm for the entirety. He is unquestionably alive right now because of her.
Man, that's amazing. Well, not the situation, but her. I wish I was there to give her a hug right now.
Well, I'd offered to give her one by proxy, but I highly doubt it would have the same effect.
Talisa chuckled.
Nah, probably not. I'm guessing the day's events have not improved relations with the saviors, huh?
Decidedly not. In fact, I'm revising my previous TBD assessment. I believe the situation will be coming to a head sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I kinda got that feeling too, after the conversation in Rick's tent this afternoon. You just watch your back and make sure you're on the right side when it does, okay?
I assure you, I have no intention of turning tail again in any capacity.
Oh, no, Eugene. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, don't get caught in a situation where you're not safe. I never thought you'd side with them. I'm sorry if it sounded that way.
Given my history of questionable decisions, I would hold no ill will towards you if that was your intended meaning. I'm aware I still have a long road ahead of me to regain your trust and faith in me.
I'd say you're well on your way.
She laid back on her bed again.
So, you said Aaron got hurt because that Justin guy wasn't on his walkie, right?
Correct.
So, is it possibly not the best idea for you to have yours switched to a channel only you and I use every night? What if they need you for something?
I only switch to our private channel at the end of my evening once I have done each of my designated check-ins, and only while I am here in my tent where I am easily accessible to anyone who might need me. So I assure you, our communication is entirely acceptable.
Good, 'cause I'll be honest, I'd be kinda bummed if you told me we had to stop.
It has been an enjoyable and highly effective way for us to talk things through and get back on the same page while keeping some objective distance.
I entirely agree.
So, what do you find yourself doing this evening?
Nothing. I got back about an hour ago now, and I was exhausted, so I made myself a sandwich and crashed in bed. Then I called you. How about you? What are you up to?
I'm in bed as well. After today's events, I had even less interest in socializing than I usually would.
So, if you think about it, technically we're in bed together. How scandalous.
It's not as if it would be the first time.
You make an excellent point.
They continued their conversation as they had almost every night since the camp had been constructed, meandering through their shared memories and talking about everything and nothing all at once. After about an hour, Talisa paused in the middle of their discussion about which medieval weapon was superior to stifle a yawn.
You sound tired.
I'm not.
Are you saying that because it's accurate? Or because you know if you admit your fatigue, I'll insist on signing off and allowing you to sleep?
I do not want to answer that.
She heard the slight chuckle in his voice as he answered.
Go to sleep, Talisa. I'll check in with you tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Sleep well, haircut. And remember, take care of yourself out there.
Roger Wilco. Taterbug, over and out.
Talisa heard the crackle and click as he signed off, and she turned her walkie-talkie off as well, setting it back on the nightstand and switching off the light. 2 afternoons later, Talisa walked out of the school building to see Carol standing near the steps to the auditorium with Ezekiel. As she walked towards them, Carol looked up and Talisa could tell from her expression something was not right.
Hey, stranger. Good to see you home. What's up?
Things are getting worse at the camp. I just came back to update you guys, then I'm heading back.
More issues with the saviors?
Carol nodded.
Justin was found dead this morning, and with Rick still refusing to give them guns, he's got a full-blown riot brewing.
Geez, any leads as to who did it?
Oh, there's fingers being pointed in every direction, but no definitive leads. They're out there right now trying to work the grid and finish the redirect of the other 2 herds, but this thing is primed and ready to explode.
Okay, I'm going back with you.
You don't need to do that. We've got it under control for now. There's not a whole lot you can do.
I can be there to help in case things do go down. If this thing blows, it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck situation, and you know it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm leaving in 45 minutes. Can you be ready to go by then?
Talisa?
Tara looked up at her in confusion as she and Carol rode back into camp a few hours later.
Hey, heard things have been getting pretty bad around here. Figured I'd come see if I could help out.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And the shit just keeps finding ways to hit the fan.
What do you mean?
Tara looked around cautiously before she answered.
Yeah. I think maybe you should talk with Rick about it.
Talisa gave her a curious look, but then she and Carol headed over to Rick's tent. When they went in, they found Daryl, Rick, Maggie, and Jerry already inside.
Hey, Rick. Tara said things have gotten worse. What's going on?
How much do you know so far?
Saviors are walking off and generally unhappy. Justin didn't do his job and Aaron lost his arm. Then Justin turned up dead this morning.
You're pretty well informed for someone who left before any of it happened.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I only told you about one of those.
I'm in regular contact with the camp.
Talisa said evasively, ignoring their curious smirks.
But that's not the point right now. Tara made it sound like something else happened since Carol and I left the kingdom.
Rick rubbed a hand across his face.
Yeah, it did. We were out sweeping the grid and someone attacked one of our groups, knocked out Cindy and B, and took Arrett.
Wait, now Arrett is missing too? Do the Saviors know?
Not yet. They think she's on watch through the night, but by morning they will.
She could be dead already.
If we don't figure out what happened, Sanctuary is gone. And if that happens, we won't finish the work before the water rises. We'll lose the bridge.
Yo.
Jerry raised a nervous hand, and everyone turned to him.
Say we nab the perp. Then what? Who decides what happens next? Is it gonna be, a Gregory or a Negan?
They all stared at him for a few moments, obviously realizing that they hadn't discussed that very important distinction. After a few more uncomfortable seconds, Rick cleared his throat and answered.
Whoever it is, when the time comes they'll get what they deserve.
He looked around at them all.
Pair up with someone you trust. We're out there until we find her.
Talisa moved towards Carol, but Rick stepped up and put a hand on her shoulder.
Not you. I need you to stay here.
What? Why?
We're going out there to look for Arrett. Gabriel and Anne are gone. I don't know where they went, but they're gone. And to be honest, it doesn't look too good as far as her innocence is concerned. But either way, we're going out there, which means Eugene is going to be in charge back here. And he does better when you're with him.
Talisa wanted to argue the point, but in the end, she knew he was right, so she sighed and nodded.
Yeah, okay.
She followed them out of the tent, and as they broke off into pairs, she headed towards the medical tent. She stuck her head in and saw Enid sitting next to Aaron.
Hey, Doc. Hear you did your first successful surgery.
Enid looked up, and when she saw Talisa, her eyes widened in surprise and she jumped up to run into her arms. Talisa hugged her back and leaned her cheek against the smaller woman's head.
Hey, it's okay. I can't imagine how scary that must have been, but from what everyone has been telling me, you handled it like a total pro.
She sure did.
Talisa walked over to Aaron and sat down beside him.
Hey, how you feeling?
Well, it hurts a hell of a lot less than it did when my arm was crushed under that log. So, small wins. Oh, and I'm alive thanks to Enid. That's a bigger win.
Sure is. You've got a baby girl who needs her daddy to come home. I don't think she'll care much if he has one arm or two.
If anything, she'll probably think it's funny.
You get some more rest, okay? I know you're in good hands.
She and Enid stepped outside the tent in the gathering darkness of twilight.
So how's he doing?
He's okay. We were able to get the wound cleaned and cauterized quickly, and then Daryl gave him some blood. He's O negative like you. He's still in a lot of pain that I wish I could do more to help with, but I want to make sure he's completely stable before we try to move him back to Alexandria where they have better meds.
I'm heading there tomorrow for my monthly Negan meeting. I'll be back Friday afternoon, so if you make me a list of what you need, I'll be sure to get it from Sadiq.
For real? Oh, that would be so awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Some of the pain meds are what I need most right now. The oxy or morphine, just enough to get him comfortable for travel. Then I'll send him home and let Sadiq monitor his pain management. But a dose of stronger antibiotics wouldn't hurt either. He's not showing signs of infection now, but you know how fast it can come on.
Enough pain meds to make him comfortable in the short term and preventative antibiotics. Got it.
Thanks again, Talisa. You're the best.
Anytime, Doc.
As they were speaking, Eugene walked down the path next to the med tent and stopped when he saw her standing there next to Enid.
Talisa?
Hey, haircut.
She gave Enid's arm an encouraging squeeze as she walked back into the tent, and then walked down the few steps in front of it to meet Eugene.
What are you doing here?
Oh, that's a nice welcome. You're not happy to see me?
Oh, well, no. I'm always happy to see you.
I'm messing with you, Eugene. I heard about everything going down here and felt like I should come back and see if I could lend a hand. Things have really gone downhill quick, haven't they?
They have indeed.
I haven't eaten since breakfast. How about you buy me some dinner in the mess tent and we can talk about it?
Seeing as I also find myself in need of sustenance, I would say that seems like a good plan to me.
They walked to the large tent with open sides that sat in the middle of the camp. Talisa saw pots of some sort of steaming soup lined up on the tables along the far side, and while the tent wasn't full by any means, there were people scattered amongst the tables. They walked down the line and filled 2 bowls with the hot soup, which ended up being a vegetable blend, and each grabbed a pack of saltines and a cup of water before heading to an empty table in the far back corner.
Okay, so tell me the truth.
Talisa looked around at the other people in the tent and lowered her voice, leaning in towards him.
How bad is it?
Bad. The death of Justin and subsequent disappearance of those who walked off the line yesterday has created a justified paranoia amongst the sanctuary residents. And combined with the fact that Rick is still refusing to allow them to arm themselves, most of them are at least contemplating abandoning the project altogether. And some are already planning their exit.
Has anyone tried to talk with Rick about the idea of letting a few who've proven themselves as trustworthy carry guns just to give them a sense of security?
Alden posed that exact question a few hours ago, but Rick was unreceptive to the idea. It seems his trust with them as a whole only extends so far. He is of the opinion that they should be able to trust that we will take care of them, as long as they are being team players and doing what is asked of them.
So shut up and do what you're told and we'll keep you safe. Who does that remind you of?
My thoughts exactly. And a parallel that was also not lost on Rick. I hate to say it, but once morning comes and the others find out about Arrett's disappearance as well, I don't see any scenario in which they continue with the construction.
And without their help, there's no way the bridge gets done in time, right?
That's correct.
Damn, we really are in a pickle here, aren't we?
Straight up kosher dill.
She smirked appreciatively. Above them, a soft rhythmic tapping began against the canvas. They both looked up in surprise and then back at each other.
Is that rain?
It appears to be, though our weather predictions weren't calling for any.
After only a few more seconds, the rain became a deluge, pouring in ribbons off the sides of the tent as thunder clapped above them.
This is going to make the search party's job even harder.
On top of that, the increased water levels will almost certainly compromise our temporary levee, meaning our already razor-thin timeline was just bumped up again.
Well, you know what they say, when it rains, it pours.
He met her gaze with a skeptical look, but after another second, rewarded her with a reluctant smile and shook his head.
Entirely predictable puns aside, this doesn't show any signs of letting up in the near future, so we have a decision on our hands. Camp out here until it passes, or brave the weather to get back to our quarters.
A little rain never hurt anyone. I say we risk it.
I tend to think the population in Noah's day and age would have disagreed.
Oh, whatever. You don't even believe in the idea of Noah and a worldwide flood. I'm gonna make a run for it. You with me?
I am indeed.
They ran from the tent, darting between the trees that did very little to provide cover. By the time they were back at the entrance to the tent she shared with Enid, they were both soaked to the bone. Talisa turned back laughing and shook her head.
Might as well stop running. Getting inside isn't gonna help us at this point anyway.
Yes, as far as avoiding the weather, I'd say we have officially failed.
We should probably both go get changed before we catch our death out here, though.
Agreed.
They stood there together in the rain, and even though they'd both agreed to go their separate ways, neither seemed inclined to move.
Talisa, thank you.
For what?
I'm fully aware that, given the state of things, I should be feeling a myriad of negative emotions. Fear, frustration, anger, defeat. I was in fact feeling all of those things just a few short hours ago, but I find that it's virtually impossible for me to feel anything negative when you are beside me. You always know how to make me feel like somehow everything will be all right, and I felt I should thank you for that.
Talisa smiled at him. She reached up gently, pushing back the wet curls that were now plastered against his cheek, and let her hand rest there for a second. She saw the moment of uncertainty in his eyes at her touch. She knew what he wanted, what he was hoping for, but something held her back, even now, even as she knew she wanted it too. She let her hand drop from his cheek and stepped back.
Anytime haircut. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? But if anything goes down tonight that you need my help with, don't hesitate to ask.
She saw the disappointment flicker across his face, but it was gone as soon as it came. He gave her a smile and nodded.
Of course.
He leaned down to give her a quick hug before turning to head back to his own tent. The next morning, Talisa got up and headed out to the sound of rushing water. She looked down at the river, now roaring past the half-built bridge, and she sighed. She walked back into the camp and saw Rick standing outside his own tent, looking as tired and stressed as she felt.
Hey, stranger. I'm guessing from your expression things didn't go so well last night?
We found out who was killing the saviors. It was Cindy and the people from Oceanside. They just couldn't let it go in the end. Cindy killed a rat.
Damn. Can't say I don't get where they're coming from, but I know it compounds our issues here.
Yeah, that's an understatement. The other saviors left last night when we got back. I sent Alden to try and head them off, convince them to come back, but with the added rain from the storm, it's looking like too little too late.
It does seem that way. Look, I have to head to Alexandria for the day for my meeting with Negan, but I'll be back tomorrow. Is there anything you need me to do while I'm there?
No, I'm good. Just give Michonne and Judith my love.
Always.
Rick looked over at her as he spoke again.
Eugene is blaming himself. He thinks he should have taken the weather into account more, had more contingencies in place.
Of course he does. Eugene is a perfectionist, and he always takes it hard when he feels like he failed. Not to mention, I'd imagine he's taking this especially hard because he still feels like he has so much to prove to all of us.
I told him he doesn't. He's the reason this project got off the ground in the first place. His plans are what got us here. He's an integral part of what we're building, and he's more than earned it.
I know he has. It's just going to take him a little more time to know it for himself.
You know, before everything went bad, and the world changed, Lori and I, we weren't in the best place. I thought when I found them again it was our second chance. I got my family back. But it turns out, when the world strips away everything that was distracting you, sometimes things don't get better. Sometimes it just shines a light on the problems that were always there. One of the last things my wife ever said to me was that it wasn't like we could just get divorced anyway. And I wanted to tell her that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to tell her I still believed we could fix it, that I loved her. But I didn't. I told myself I wasn't ready yet, that I needed more time, that if we could just get through it, when the baby came, maybe we could get our fresh start.
Rick stopped talking and looked over at Talisa meaningfully.
My wife died, thinking I couldn't forgive her, and that fact haunted me for a long time. Still does sometimes. I couldn't say the words, and now I'll never have the chance.
Talisa swallowed hard against the lump rising in her throat.
Why are you telling me this, Rick?
Because we always think we have more time. We think, I'll try again tomorrow. Or I'll get there soon and we can move past it. Tomorrow and soon aren't guarantees anymore. If you love him, Talisa, if you know you want to forgive him and move forward, just do it. Don't waste another day on the what-ifs or the maybes. Live your life.
Talisa looked at him for a long moment, and she felt tears threatening to spill from her eyes as she nodded. Rick reached out an arm and pulled her into a hug.
I know I don't say it often, but I love you. You and Eugene both. You're special. and I know you're going to do amazing things in this world, together or apart. Though I gotta admit, I'm still rooting for the former.
Talisa looked up at him and smiled.
Thanks, Rick. I love you too. You're kind of the big brother I always wanted.
I'm honored.
As Rick released her from the embrace, Jerry rode up beside them on his horse, looking concerned.
Hey, Jer, what's up?
Got a message for El Jefe here.
What is it?
Maggie's running down to Alexandria. Jesus thought you should know pronto.
What?
When did she leave?
Dunno. Call just came in from Hilltop Relay.
Did he say anything else?
Just that you'd know what that means.
Talisa cursed under her breath.
Sorry, dudes. That's all I got.
No, you're good, Jerry. Thanks.
He gave them both a nod and then rode away down the path.
There's only one reason she'd head for Alexandria.
Yeah, I know.
Rick pulled his walkie from his belt.
R1, I need you to get an urgent message to Alexandria. If Maggie Ree shows up, delay her at the gate and alert Michonne. Do not, I repeat, do not let her in without an escort. Over.
A second later, Rosita's voice came back over the walkie.
Copy that, Rick. We'll relay your message right now. Over.
Rick nodded and then clicked his walkie on again.
Maggie, if you're listening, let's talk.
I think she's done talking.
Daryl had walked up to where they were standing and exchanged an awkward glance with Rick as he spoke.
What's going on?
Maggie's headed to Alexandria. She's about to do something she might regret.
Okay. I got my bike right over there. I'll take you.
We got enough fuel for that?
Yeah. We'll get there quicker that way.
You guys go the normal way. I'll circle around behind and see if I can cut her off. I was on my way there anyway.
Daryl gave her a slight look, like he almost wanted to stop her from going. But then he shrugged and nodded his head. He and Rick headed for the bike, and Talisa went to the paddock to grab her horse. When I Fall is a work of fiction based on AMC's The Walking Dead. Any characters not created by the author are the property of said company. The story will continue in the next chapter.